Hey, Elizabeth, what's on your mind today?
Hey, hi, Tom. I haven't talked with you in a while, and thanks for taking my call. So many topics, but the one I called in about, I'd like your help to understand and maybe some advice on where to go from here. There's been a fund set up for people who've been damaged by exposure to Roundup that contains glyphosate. Right. And so it's a proven fact that this causes cancer. Well, okay, then how come we can't have a class action lawsuit as Americans for what Monsanto has done to our staple food crops? They've genetically engineered them so that they would be susceptible to the glyphosate that would kill the weeds and stuff. So we're being inundated with this glyphosate. If they've already proved it's cancer-causing, what's going on?
What's going on is that the Trump administration is, and frankly, previous administrations, we've known this for some time. The European Union, I believe it was during the Obama administration, declared glyphosate a probable carcinogen. I think this is one of the reasons that Monsanto's... Oh, I think we've been able to prove it for some time. I think this is one of the reasons why Monsanto sold itself to Bayer, and Bayer didn't realize what they were buying, that they were buying all this liability. And now we know that there's glyphosate in our beer, there's glyphosate in our bread, there's glyphosate in anything made with any grains, because they use glyphosate now not just to kill weeds, but they're now using it before harvesting. They spray it on the wheat crop so that the wheat dies and the stalks become brittle, so that the threshing machines, they used to lose about 10 or 15% of the crop because the green, grass stalks holding the heads of wheat would kind of gum up the threshing machines. And now they spray the glyphosate on, and then they wait 3 days and they harvest it. And by that time, the wheat stalks are all brittle and they pop right off. And so they're getting more wheat. But because it was sprayed just before it was harvested, the stuff is just saturated with it. It's throughout our food supply, and I'm convinced that this explosion of gluten sensitivity that we're seeing all across the country is a direct result of glyphosate, because glyphosate was originally brought to market as an antibiotic. It kills bacteria, but it also, the same mechanism, the same way that it interrupts a metabolic process inside bacteria and causes them to die, is how it also kills some weeds. And so the theory, one of the working theories right now, and there was an interesting piece published over at the National Institutes of Health recently that I sent to my daughter, who's a nurse practitioner, and said, what do you think of this? And she was like, whoa. That suggests that the glyphosate is interrupting or interfering with the ability of the good bacteria in our gut to stay alive and do its thing. And the result of that could be not just the gluten intolerance, not just gas and diarrhea and stuff like that people get when they eat wheat now, but also could be that bad bacteria are starting to proliferate in our gut, and that leads to that leads to obesity, because it turns out that the good bacteria actually secrete hormones that tell our body, I'm full now, and I think it's called leptin. And so, this could be huge. It could be that glyphosate isn't just causing cancer. It could be that it's causing obesity indirectly, and it's causing IBS, and it's causing, all these other things. So, what Louise and I have done, obviously we've taken wheat out of our diet. I haven't been able to eat wheat for almost 2 decades now. But, just eating nothing but organic. But, we can afford to do that. Most people can't. And I think that if you look at the explosion of obesity in the United States, it follows Roundup. If you look at the explosion of gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, it follows how many tons of glyphosate are being sprayed on our food every year. I'm very concerned about this, and now you've got lawyers on TV saying if you or somebody in your family was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is the one type of cancer that they have proven glyphosate can cause, and this is tens of thousands of Americans. If you're one of them, call our law firm and we will sue on your behalf. And Monsanto, now Bayer, has apparently set aside the number, I think, was $18 billion. Maybe it was $8 billion. Some mind-boggling amount of money to cover these settlements. So it's coming. In terms of the class action, Elizabeth, that would be a question to ask a lawyer who does that kind of stuff. I don't know the answer to the question. But typically, class action lawsuits don't return the kind of really big settlements. There may be a big grand settlement, but the lawyers end up with most of it. In this case, it's going to the individuals.